Stubbs here. In this clip, I'm going to make a script that will change my background in the Sway window manager. You use a couple of ways of changing your background in Sway. Let's get started. One of the easiest ways is to do it in your config file. In a .config folder, /sway/config is the Sway window manager config file. If you search for output, the command here, if you uncomment it, will change your output. The command is output. Asterisk means set all monitors. I only have one. BG says set the background. You give it the file name, and then you give it the mode, the scaling mode. We're going to fill the screen. That means it won't stretch the aspect ratio, but it'll cut off parts of the image so that the entire monitor is filled. Let's save this, and let's reread the configuration file by holding Shift, Window, and tapping C. So it reread the config file and it actually executed the output command and did change my output. Let's have a look. There it is. If I wanted to change my output on the fly without having to edit the config file and reread it, the command that you would use is sway message -s $, all caps, sway sock. So what's going on here is we're sending a socket message. That's what the -s is. And we're sending it to this socket. $sway sock is an environment variable that the Sway window manager has created for us. Let's take a peek at it. If I echo $sway sock, you can see it looks like a file. This is a virtual file that's in memory. It's not actually on a file system. Looks like this is probably my user ID. This will probably be the process ID of the Sway window manager. None of this is important. Sway IPC. IPC is inter-process communication. This is a method by which two processes can communicate back and forth, or more than two. Multiple processes can communicate using a socket. The command is sway message -s $sway sock. And there's a whole number of commands that you can send. Output is one of the commands. We're going to tell it which output. We're going to change them all. We have to, normally you just use an asterisk, but because this is, I'm typing this in the bash shell, the asterisk is a special character in bash and will be interpreted. We don't want it interpreted, so if I precede it with a backslash, the bash shell will not interpret the asterisk and it'll pass it on through to the output command. The subcommand is BG to change the background. I've downloaded some new backgrounds in my downloads folder, and that's the image that we're going to display. I'm going to set the scaling mode to fit in this case, and it has changed the image. That's a long command to type, and sometimes it's a lot to remember. You got caps and $signs. You're going to mess this up, let me tell you. So I'm going to make a short little bash script, and I'm going to create it in my own personal bin folder. You can see I have a bin folder. There are no files in there, but because I created a bin folder underneath my home directory, it's gone ahead and added it to my path. So now any executable files that I put within my bin folder are now commands that I can type. So let's create a new file, a new command called chbg to change your background. I'm actually going to put it in the bin folder, and I'm just going to basically type that exact same sway message command. I still have to backslash the asterisk. Now, normally this is where you type the file name. We're not going to type a file name. We're going to type a variable that says whatever the first thing on the command line is. That will be $1. Okay, and I can give it the mode, the scaling mode. This is going to work. I've tried this before and it doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is because if I just use a $1, if I used an absolute path name, it would be fine. But anytime I give it a relative path name, it's not able to find the file. I'm going to use a command called realpath. these little things that I'm putting around realpath that look like single quotes are actually reverse single quotes, sometimes called backticks, grave accent. There's a couple names for it. Backticks seems to be the more common. The way these work, any command that you put inside of backticks, realpath will be realpath $1 will be executed, and whatever the output of realpath $1 is will be inserted in place of this. $1 was the very first parameter that you type after you enter the word chbg on the command line. So this will be replaced by whatever file name you give it. Let's make sure this file looks good. It does. And let's go ahead and try to execute it. Now this is going to fail because I have not given chbg execute permission, but I want y'all to see what that looks like. Sure enough, permission denied. What's going on here is I need to set these bits to give it execute permission. Okay, we do that with the change mode command, sometimes called a chmod. 755 is the octal value of these three binary fields right here. I'll explain that another day if y'all really want to know about how that works. There's a couple forms of that. This one's a fairly simple one though. Now if I do an ls-l in that file, you can see that those three flags are set, X, X, and X. That gives it execute permission. Now when I go and type that command, ch background, and then give it the file name that I want to change my background to, we have a failure. Let's see what's going on. Maybe I typed the command wrong. Oh, of course. It's not sway message, it's sway sock. Try again. There we go. Yeah, you got to get it right. Alright, so what I've done is I've created a file and put it in my bin folder. ls bin, there it is, it's called chbg. When I look at the file, it's really just one line, and that line is the exact same command that I would have typed on the command line with this exception. Okay. Remember, the $1 will be replaced by whatever I typed on the command line. For example, this. When I run chbg space that is equal, $1 will be replaced by that. And then realpath, that will be replaced by whatever realpath is. Just for grins, realpath downloads Wallhaven. All it does is take the relative path name and turns it into an absolute path name. Absolute path names start with a /. Alright, that's what I got for y'all today. Appreciate you watching.